Hello and welcome along again to the LWB GAA Podcast. Tonight in association with Breed Nolan Physiotherapy. Thanks a million to Breed for coming on and supporting tonight's podcast. She is running a competition over on her Instagram page at the moment. Nice little giveaway. There's some lovely prizes there. So check out Breed Nolan Physiotherapy on Instagram and indeed on Facebook. We're also live here on Facebook at the moment. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. And we're on Instagram as well if you want to hit us up. It is the last episode that we're going to do until Championship. We're taking a little bit of a seasonal break. We've snow today. We're supposed to have, actually we've sun today, should I say. We're supposed to have snow on Thursday. Can't quite see it, but yeah, it's great to enjoy the weather while we do have it for the, I suppose, foreseeable. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about GAA action. And last week, the club draws were made. So we're very much going to delve into that. We're going to talk about the Carlow footballers up against Wexford, and our very special guest, back by popular demand, Mr. Cormac Snackbox Holloway, will be joining us in a few moments' time. John Olin, how are we doing?
Good, Kevin, and you?
Not bad. Did you like that new music there? That Joe for strings. I don't know, is that of your vintage or?
I thought it was Thunderstruck there for a minute. I was waiting for da-na-na-na-na.
Well, that was a consideration as well. We want to thank Blessed, actually, for giving us permission to use a bit of their music. So we thought we'd sexy it up a bit here on the LWB GAA Podcast in terms of intro music. We're always trying to be a little bit better anyway.
Were they the band from your wedding? No.
Yeah.
No. Were they?
Yeah.
Savage. Absolutely savage. Yeah, give them a plug, Kev. They were excellent.
Definitely.
Even I was able to dance to them.
Stevie, in fairness, was not with us tonight, was threatening to dance for ages. That was literally his words. I am this close to dancing. He said it for the whole night. Or he was actually out for the whole night as well.
He was out for the whole night, yeah. They were savage.
Yeah, they're different anyway. As they said, they're not a wedding band. They're a band who play at weddings. And yeah, that was a good night, in fairness. Good day. But yeah, anyway, look.
Good night, good day. Not that you're meant to say the best day of your life, man.
Okay, right. Best day of my life. Best day of my life.
Good save.
I'm already in the bad books, so
keep going.
We'll be in the bad books altogether.
Yeah.
Although I let her off for the weekend, there was a hen party on, so
good man.
We went in to check out the Carlow footballers, of course. Then on Saturday, they were up against Wexford. An unusual time. Worked out quite well for me, to be honest with you. We were playing at 5 o'clock on Saturday too, so it was nice to bridge that bit of a gap. Imagine taking your mind off a game of football, go look at another game of football. Bit crazy, but sure, that's the way we are as GAA people. But it was a really strange game, to be honest with you, Joe. Like it sounds like pretty pathetic to be saying they could have won, lost, or drew, but that's literally the way it was coming down the home stretch. Like how do you sum it up? I suppose maybe a slow start again. And then we went back to what we were good at, which was obviously moving at pace and breaking lines and drawing frees, and we clawed our way back. And I think, given the strength of the Breeze, that I suppose the fact that we were only a couple points down at half time was, we were in a good position that way, having only played well for maybe a third of the half, I would say, probably. A half of the half or a quarter, if you want to be, I suppose, a bit more optimistic about it. But Wexford picked off some great scores in the first half. And I always say, like, you can have the Breeze, but you also have to judge it. So Tom Byrne in particular, he kicked 2 really good scores off his left from distance. Donald Shanley kicked another good score as well. We had a very good goal scoring opportunity. Was it Dara Foley or Liam Brennan actually caught the kick out? Liam Brennan caught a kick out. Dara Foley caught another one. I think it was Dara Foley's one that led to the goal chance. He actually fed Shawnee Bambrick. And Shawnee, like, Conor Crowley had come out to the 45 and actually checked his run and went backwards in towards the goal. Shawnee spotted it and literally just had the defender in cahoots. Like, he didn't know where Conor Crowley was. He didn't know where the ball was. Slipped it inside. Conor got through. Unfortunately, it went to the left and wide, but it was a beautiful pass. And actually, just while we're on the topic of Shawnee, he did that trademark. You remember Mark Brennan in the 2011 county final against Tin Island, the basketball thing behind the back.
Yeah.
But did so and does so without actually it's very hard to do. You hit it off the back of your leg most of the time. Without turning almost. It's kind of like you're not looking and he just bounces back here into your left hand.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. He's developed this shuffle as well. If you spotted that when he's playing, it's kind of like he throws out the right leg and kind of stamps and then takes another couple of steps after. The Shawnee shuffle, I think you
Shawnee
call it.
shuffle, yeah. But I think
Yeah.
you're right there. What you said, Kev. I wasn't at the game actually. I was down and hit the. I enjoyed the good weather. I was actually down in Rosslare at the time when the match was on, and exactly what you said there in terms of Wexford I think they hit first 3 points from outside 40 yards. Like so, using the breeze and I happened to actually I couldn't listen to it in KCLR because I couldn't get tuning in, so I had to listen to it in Southeast when I was down there. But Liam Spratt and I can't remember who was with him at the time actually said the same thing about Carlow, that that was kind of their summation when they ran at Wexford. They caused bother, and when they were ponderous and slow, it didn't suit them. So I think we saw that during the league though, Kev, didn't we? Like in fairness, like we have that pace to go hard at teams, like, and it creates trouble. Like, and you've great runners there. And Jamie Clark hit 3 good second half points as well, and a lot of good positives, I suppose, moving forward towards championship. Like,
I'll tell you another thing that actually was very well done from our point of view. In the first half, I'm kind of the opinion now that one man trying to block off the space in front of a full back line is just nearly extinct because it's so easy to bypass, right? And I think for large periods, this is how it looked to me anyway. That's what we were doing in the first half. But in the second half, we reverted back to more, and some people aren't in favour of this, of course, but the proof was in the pudding. We actually reverted back and got a lot more bodies into the pockets of space, similar to what Wexford did in the first half. Closed up shop and broke quickly. And broke very quickly, actually. And I think it suited us a lot better. I think that's where we have been falling down. I think you can still play expansive football to an extent while having a better shape back, in your defence. I still think that can be done, that you can achieve that balance. It's very hard. Just say, like, someone's running through the middle or whatever, and you have one spare man. He's after breaking one tackle, right? Now all of a sudden, you're back to where you were kind of anyway. Whereas if you have that line of bodies across, it's very hard. Like, unless you just break from side to side, eventually someone falls asleep and you try to go through the gap. That's the whole all of it. If you're a defender in that shape, if you, I suppose, switch off for 1 second, then you're gone. But if you're constantly in tune with it, it is very hard. And Tipperary were a very good example the previous week of that, where I would say at one particular part, I think it was probably 3 minutes, I would say, at least, where we just went over and back with the ball because we couldn't penetrate, just literally couldn't do it. So, yeah, I think in fairness, it was a good showing. We have a very difficult task, obviously, against Louth. Let's not be under any illusions.
No.
They've just gone and got promoted. And I saw Louth play against Laois going back, whenever that was. I think it was the first weekend of the league. And physically, like, they are just so much more advanced than we are. And that's not a criticism. It's just the reality of where we're at. And our lads are going to need time to get into that sort of shape. So, like, I think we have progressed.
Yeah.
I would think we've progressed.
Yeah. But I think, Kevin, like, if you compare it, I know when I say make this comparison, but I want to reference it with kind of from where we are. But like lads are saying, like, about if you take Dublin are in transition and at their standard of things where they were in terms of with change in personnel and change of bodies, and you can see that after getting dropped out of Division 1 this year, and they look far from All Ireland favourite material like they did for years previous, as they say. And it just goes to show at whatever standard you're playing at, be it 1, 2, 3, or 4, or whatever, whatever standard you're playing at, it just when the heart is kind of not the heart, but when the bodies are ripped out of your panel like that in terms of numbers, and you're trying to make big changes quite rapidly, it's going to take time. It's going to take time, but there's definitely green shoots. Like, that's it. That's what you have to take from it and work with them. Be positive.
Jamie Clark kicked 3 outrageous points in the second half. Like, I mean, outrageous stuff. And for a man, I don't know, what height would you say Jamie is? Is he 5'9", 5'10"?
Better not insult him now.
Well,
I know he's somewhere between 5'8" and 5'10", I'd say.
Yeah, the leap he has is actually extraordinary. And we saw that, of course, in the semi-final of the club championships against Rathvilly when he was up against Brendan Murphy. He was able to get up and get a fist on a lot of those. So he was great. He's so important. I think he's, like what I was saying, he's our best footballer at the moment. So
yeah, key man.
Yeah, and hopefully all the lads, we have a clean bill of health going into that Louth game because we're going to need it. Absolutely, we will be up against it 100%. So yeah, look, that's the crack with the Carroll footballers. So we have a nice bit to go through in terms of the club draws. They were made last Thursday night. And it's mad, like while we've very good figures on the episodes we've been doing of late, Joe, the club stuff is where the draw is. The figures don't compare. Like obviously, I think that's fairly understandable in the sense that it's relevant to more people. The club, right. So I think that there might be a keen interest in this as well, in terms of the draws. Everyone has seen them, but getting a bit of perspective and maybe where we think how lads are going to get on or whatever is definitely something that we're going to delve into. And probably a good time to bring in an absolute character of Carroll GAA to go through.
We're only the warm up. We're only warm up for this, man.
Drum roll. Snackbox, how are you getting on?
Hi, mate. Not bad, Kevin. Thanks. Not bad.
You're back by popular demand.
Thanks.
You may come into the middle of the screen, Kev.
Actually, do you know what? Front and center.
Come into the middle of the screen.
This is what the people came to see. Let's get that man.
Yeah, looking at myself too. I want to take me off the screen. Can
you? Hey, come here. Just at the freezing there now for a second. You're back again.
You got the haircut and everything for it. Look.
Yeah, you're first divvied up altogether there.
I can't hear you, Kevin. Sorry.
I don't know if you can or can't now. This is the thing. Hey, come here.
I can't. These earphones are not the best now. Not really an earphone. You have a fine set of headphones. I don't have headphones like that. No.
Yeah, they're an extra large set as well when you have a head like mine.
Yeah, I'd be kind of. I used to be playing hurling years ago as well. They could never get a helmet to fit me. It was my excuse at the place. Great.
I was wondering why you hadn't played doing a hurling for Pal for so long.
No, I nearly got caught to play one night, all right, but no, thank God, no.
Yeah. How's life with you? Were you in Cheltenham?
No. I wasn't. No, not able for crowds anymore. I just stay at home in the sitting room and watch it.
Yeah. You've been to a few, I'd say.
Of course.
You shy away from like.
Yeah, that's freaking hardship, though, Kevin. Jesus, what's fucking taking an hour to go to the toilet in the place? What fun is in that?
It's a labour of love, though. It's a labour of love.
Probably. I actually think you're missing something if you're not there. No, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, well, this training session didn't go on for too long. I'd say you must have done half a session, did you? Or was there?
No, they left me off early there. I told them I was doing this.
Media duties.
Exposure for the club snack. Come here. Can I just actually bring something to the table? Because I don't know if we've actually delved into it much, right? But what Palatine done this year, I thought was a great concept with the 8-team competition you ran. I think it was 8 teams anyway. It seemed to be a roaring success, like.
Yeah, it was good cracking that, but probably a bit drawn out. 2 groups of 4 would suit better there. I think it was 8 weeks in a row. It's hard going. Maybe 2 groups of 4. I think that's the plan next year if it goes ahead anyway. 2 groups of 4 would be kind of a better thing than playing 7 games. It was a good success though, in fairness, yeah.
I think the big thing there, Snack, will be come Junior A and Junior C time. If you're holding on to 1 or 2 lads that came to play that tournament, then it's a roaring success, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like that now. That's the main aim, to try to get them lads back together and play a bit of junior. So it looks like we played a junior practice yesterday morning there, so there was a few of them there. But yeah, that's the plan anyway, in fairness, yeah.
Yeah, just getting all right in the junior.
Sorry. Yeah, we played Greg in the practice there. It was all right. I was texting one of the Greg lads there after, was saying, I think we lost by a point or something, but he said, you're not too bad. He said, that was our 5th team, he texted me back, so that was nice. Just the first team is not too good. I don't know how to have a 5th team even now. Jesus Christ.
Oh, he must have been a bigger layer than you saw.
One notable name that stood out for me, Adam Kavanagh. I don't know, did he end up playing too many of the games? Cav's the very same age as me. He was an unbelievable.
No, that's Adam Kavanagh. Now, there was an Adam Kavanagh playing that, but it's a different Adam Kavanagh.
Right, okay, so it's not Cav.
It's not the Adam Kavanagh you know. Yeah, he was a great footballer. I don't even know where that chap is now. I think he could be in Dublin or somewhere. But, well, he was a great footballer. Yeah, he was on them 2 minor teams that won the back-to-back minor games. He was a great player,
Big strong chap, wasn't he? I mean, I remember him even in 6th year in school. Jeez, he was like a man, like, you know. He was.
Yeah.
Adam, yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
he was you're looking at him as a 6 for Carlow seniors, like you were at the time, 100%. You know, but sure, look, how many lads like that do we talk about though? That's the way on it, isn't it? But nevertheless, even if there is other lads that have come back and not played for years, and I know there was a good few, if you get them on board for the Junior C, sure, Jesus, or junior A, whatever it is. Just get them playing, participating. Like, isn't that the whole all of it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Snack, I think what we might do is delve into the draws. So, are you happy or sad with the senior draw?
Sure. I'll tell you after the first three. I don't know. If you lose your first game, you're kind of bothering, ain't you? Like, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
well, the Rangers are a decent football team, so like I don't know. You'd be hoping to beat them, but you wouldn't be sure of beating anyone. They'll be hoping to beat us, though. There's no doubt about that.
You had to make 1 or 2 saves again them last year.
Oh Jesus, they weren't. I think it was down to their shooting. It wasn't really my goalkeeping. They were broken shots, weren't they, in fairness? But
yeah, well, do you know what? Right, I need to bring up. We had a comment underneath the Instagram post there earlier. We had a little video of your goalkeeping heroics. We didn't know whether it was Gianluigi Buffon or James Clark or who it was. But anyway, there was a comment underneath that said, in fairness, it was only Fedders taking most of the shots, and I won't say who it was from. Fedders is a good listener of this program, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, but they were trying to kick the leather off the ball, really, weren't they? I don't know what they were at, but anyway, they still beat us. Anyway, they should have beat us off the pitch, and they beat us fair play.
Yeah, but like, they have that in them, sir. Like, you know what, right? You could actually take what we say about Rangers and apply it every year for the last 5 years, and you'll probably be applying it for the next 5 years as well, I would say. It's just, they infuriate me, like, because you can actually see how close they will be to win the championship.
Yeah, they're a good side now. Good, big, strong side, yeah.
If it was their sole focus, like. So, from Pal's point of view, Pat O'Flynn is out there, so that was a very interesting one. Probably one that not a lot of people would have expected, even though his involvement with Muckalee and St. Martin's and stuff. You know, obviously there's a good bit of football played up there. But that's interesting. And another lad that I know quite well, Killian Roach, is out there as well.
Yeah. 2 lads are kind of doing the team there. Yes, things are they're only getting going, like, more or less. They're only starting out on the pitch there now. So. The lads seem to be happy with them anyway. So, listen, lots of players still. Then Kevin, we won't have a panel together between Conor Crowley and Conor Lawler with hurlers and footballers and lads away. And it's very hard to get lads together lately in Pal, but sure that they're hoping to have them together for the middle of summer anyway, hopefully. So.
Yeah. I was going to say something there about it's actually gone out of my head. It'll come back to me in a few seconds' time. But oh yeah, that's what it was. Sure, of course. Yourself, are we going to see Snack play senior football this year? You told us last year you might play in our junior C game when you played the whole senior championship.
Yeah, just the way it worked out. Craig got hurt and Luke Hickey was hurt. There was no keeper to play. I didn't want to play at all. I had to play. I wouldn't be surprised if I have to play again. Craig is still not training yet, but he must be. I think he's due back, like, but don't be surprised if I'm playing again. I hope I'm not, but don't be surprised.
Yeah. Standing in there for another few weeks, because Craig is actually building a website for the left wing back at the moment. So
see that every time I go onto Twitter, he has cans of orange Guinness or yellow Guinness or some kind of stuff, and that's the man I don't saying to myself.
Yeah.
He's busy. In fairness, no, he is working on a left wing back website.
Yeah, in fairness, a good lad. In fairness.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Hopefully, when we get to launch it, that we can actually have written content as well. So we'll be able to read what Snack is saying as well as listen to what Snack is saying. So when we actually give you your own column, the Snack Attack, or if anyone can think of a pun, actually send it into us there. And you can comment, of course, on the stream. We're on Facebook, as you said, Twitter, and on YouTube. Send in your comments, and we'll try to get to them if they're going in and accessible. Sometimes we don't see them at all. But anyway, lads, we'll go back to these draws then, right? So in the Senior Football Championship, in one group we have Palatine against the Rangers, and we have O'Loughlin and Rathvilly. O'Loughlin are going to play Rathvilly in the first round, and we've kind of touched on it briefly, Snack. Like, I think the broader issue here, and it's something that we have spoken about for quite some time. Obviously, there is a graph for the structure. I'm personally not a fan of it. I don't know. I can't remember what Joe's thoughts were on it. But what's your thoughts on the structure?
On the two, like the two groups of 4.
Yeah, and top going through and second and third playing third and second, and only one team losing out. Like, so in theory, just to give you an example, we would have seen it last year where a team lost 2 games, drew 1, and still got to a quarter final. Like, for me, that's
in 2014, Rathvilly lost their first 2, beat Kilbride in their last group game and won the championship, in fairness to them, right? So, yeah. What do you do? I have real no opinions on them things. Like, you could play a group of 8, probably the right way, but this split season thing as well, I think it's unfair. That I don't know. Should the footballers have got to go first this year? No.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. We kind of championed that last year, Joe, didn't we? That we should maybe toggle it, because whoever actually goes and wins the second competition, they're obviously a lot closer to Leinster Championship than whoever wins the first code, will say. Like, so the hurling the last 2 years, I know we didn't have a Leinster 2 years ago, but last year we did. And I firmly believe that definitely went against Rangers. So it was voted upon though, Joe, wasn't it? In
Was,
fairness.
yeah, was.
So,
Maybe I suppose the drier weather for the hurling, maybe, don't know. I mean, it was voted on though. It wasn't just something that was. It was definitely looked at, and I know all proposals were looked at. They were looking even on about kind of looking at the, the 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off sort of thing. Hurling, like we used to do before. But I think it was voted on and they went with it. I was surprised it wasn't flipped on its head, all right. But in fairness, it was a democratic process there.
There was
I
a
think
vote on it, Joe,
sorry.
there was a vote for the split season to be the opposite way around. So.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of
There
that,
was,
but there was definitely a good lot of discussion on it, because we would have seen, there was a couple of different options in terms of a calendar floating around in terms of dates and start dates and competitions and so on, and there was a bit of talk around about it, in fairness. So it wasn't a done deal. So they've looked at it again, but I think the two groups of four. Jesus, if you had one group of eight, it'd be awful dragged out, wouldn't it? In terms of like you'd have 7 weeks.
Should be 7 weeks for it to play. Yeah.
At least
Probably, yeah.
there's some ones, hard to know. It's hard to know. I mean, you'd be hoping in two groups of four that every match is, every match means something. You know what I mean? That there's no kind of dead rubber games, which might happen in the end of the other one. But if you'd one big group, but I suppose you have the anomalies, like you said there, where you could lose one or two games, or get two draws and a loss, and maybe even get through to a quarter final, and who knows where you go from there. But I suppose you get to the knockout stages, like everything, whether you top the group or whether you're the third in the group, it's knockout football then, and you take your chances on the day, isn't it? Like,
That's it.
Yeah, I think you could look at it from the point of view of one plays two and two plays one, and just get rid of the quarterfinals, have third safe, and let four play fourth in relegation, and that way you're kind of cutting out that laggarding as such. Like, the other thing you could obviously do is, and I think we spoke about it last year, is adopt a winners versus winners thing and losers versus losers, like they do in Laois, which you could still do, and incorporate the league into it a little bit too, because like the league, lads, is a joke. Like, let's be honest about it. In my opinion, it's a joke. It's only my opinion. I just don't see a situation where, like, relegation not being a thing. I just don't get it. Like, I think there has to be some sort of a look taken at that, where you have. I always use the Kilbride example. That was such a benefit to them in the late noughties in getting up to senior. Like, they won a Division 1 league, I think, or else got to the Division 1 league final before they got promoted. So geez, you've a dog gone mad there, Snack, have you?
Yeah, I want to just let at the door here now.
You know what? We'll take you backstage for a second. That's what we'll do. That is the choice of it. That is the choice of it. This is why we bring this man on. This is why we bring this man on.
All action, man.
Action man indeed.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, the league. Yeah, I know what you're saying, tying in the league into it or whatever, and I suppose. Look, it is something to consider in terms of the kind of the connection, or the whatever, the lack of connection, or whatever you want to call it, with the league and the championship and where you're playing and so on. Can be hard for some teams in the league.
So sorry, does it also place? I was talking to someone about this, Eddie. Does it place an importance on teams to feel? Because at the moment, it is an easy out to give an occasional walkover, if you want to. And I know teams have done it up and down, right? So, like, it cuts that out. If that is a part of it, and if relegation is there, maybe you think a little bit differently about it.
Yeah,
like
I know.
What is it at the moment? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know. I suppose some teams do find it hard, like you mentioned, without picking. Like, some clubs are sending a lot of players. Am I thinking again? I don't like picking clubs in particular, but thinking of, say, if you've Rangers there, so you're supplying maybe 10, 12 lads to a senior hurling panel, and you've under 20s, whatever, hurlers and so on. So there's a lot of bodies gone for league matches. It's hard to get the right thing. It's hard to get the right fit. Some clubs are, blessed with more bodies or not. It's hard to get the right. It can happen. Like, it can actually genuinely happen where bodies are tight for games. You know what I mean? And but I do see your point about Kilbride and the benefits of it. Like, a good league system is important. Like, good for blood and players and that. Like, But
I think it brought it up in the sense that maybe you could tie it in, but even if you didn't want to tie it in, I still think maybe our championship probably could do with being looked at. But anyway, look, it is what
not
it is
going to
now.
solve
We've
it.
talked. No, you're
No,
back, boss.
Back,
Are you
I'm
with
back.
us? Yeah. Some lad looking for a few bob, was it?
Yeah. No, just a neighbour there was looking for a chat. And,
All
couldn't chat.
right.
Just
Sure,
random there.
they could come on the podcast there if they wanted it. We're the whole time
No,
looking for guests.
he hates the GAA. I couldn't let him on it. Hates.
I wouldn't watch the Jew. So, look, snack. We were just shooting the breeze about structures and all that. But we have our structure, and that's it. We may plow on with it, right?
That's it.
So, look, when that first round comes around, O'Loughlin and Rathvilly will be a nice game, and that's a big rivalry. The other group, obviously, then you have Rogue and Bagnestown Gales in the first round, and then Ballinabranna versus Tinryland. I'm interested now to see. I'm going to make the first ball shout of the year, right? Because Ballinabranna have the advantage now of a second season, which they hadn't the last couple of times they got promoted. I think they'll stop again and do all right. I don't know what you're thinking or seeing. Very early, I suppose, to be saying anything like that. But any observations at all on the other group?
Yeah, there definitely doesn't look like a team who you'd say that can't do any good in the championship this year. Like, it's a fair point to say that. Are Ballinabranna after losing 5 or 6 players? Did I hear that? Or you don't know how true things are till the league starts, but definitely, they can definitely be competitive. Definitely, no doubt about it. They were unlucky a kind in ways last year in some games, aren't they?
sure. Yeah. They have it will be an interesting one, and you're dead right. With the teams in it, like you'd be hoping maybe like will Tinryland, will there be a bit of a kick in them? Will they get a consistency going? Going back there, we mentioned like we know Rangers. There's always a kick in them. Like O'Loughlin, we're seeing a few green shoots with it. They went through a little bit of transition there. People were kind of writing them off, and they were talking about tired legs, and now there's a few lads starting to come through again. You know what I mean? Bagnestown Gales for another year. They're many years up now, playing senior football and giving everyone a right rattle as well. So I know what you're saying. Like there's less kind of nailed on certs, as I say, in terms of matches. It looks like to be an evener championship again. Like any, in terms of the gap is closing in on with where the 8 teams are. I'd say I didn't hear anything about Ballinabranna in particular about losing players, but it will be an interesting summer across all championships. So we're just talking about today and work there that, say the first summer back after COVID, really, and with younger lads and travel and J1s and playing hurling and football in Canada or wherever, America and it's like that. Like it'd be interesting to see what clubs are hit by it. What'll happen where, like
There's 3 years worth of students going on J1s, like. So I'd say every club is going to get hit. So who's going to get hit harder than the rest is going to be a big variable. Like I would know from just say working from a collection point of view, there's a good few intended on going away.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fair play to them. They didn't get the opportunity to go on the last couple of years. So, I think that's going to be quite prevalent in Carlow, Laois and all over the country. That's just the way this summer is going to be. But look, we'll delve into the other draws there as well. Obviously, I'll move on to the what do you call it, the intermediate in a minute, but I had to just jump straight to, there's an element of bias to this with the junior A, because a more horrendous draw I don't think you could get from a Loughlin Bridge point of view. The Ryland's second team, who were in the county final last year, and Clonmore, who were just down from intermediate, and the Fighting Cocks, who were just down from intermediate. Loughlin Bridge played Clonmore in the first round, and the Cocks play Ryland. Jesus, you hear the third group of death, like that's death by 1,000, whatever you call it, that end of that second term. I can't think of it now, but it's a quite tough group, right? But funnily enough, I could still see a result being got there. I can still see a result being got, because I am absolutely delighted to see Damien Farrell in charge out there. I think he's a great appointment. He's after working with Kilbride. He's been with Rogue with Joe Murphy for the last 2 years, and it was a very important appointment that had to be made. And I think he's going to do a good job out there. So we wish him the best of luck, but that's a raw one, lads. At the same time, like.
Yeah, it's a tough group, isn't it? I mean, you have contenders there or teams who are, who would fancy their chances. Yeah, it is a tough group, in fairness now.
They look to be the top 4 teams, don't they, really?
Yeah. Am I right in thinking we're Tinryland in the last 2 junior finals? No, I'm trying to remember with COVID near, so
played Tullow as well.
They were.
yeah. So you're it's no easy ask there, is it really? That's going to be a dicey game, but it's going to be a dicey group, should I say? But I suppose there's the benefit of having your 3 teams coming out of it, you know what I mean? That or the downside of it, like you said, the team that could come third in that group would probably still fancy their chances as much as probably the top team in the group if you're going kind of on going on paper at the minute, so it will be a strong group, yeah.
Snack, you've Ballon in the first round, and then Bidestone Gales and O'Loughlin are over there as well in that group.
Yeah.
You're a
sure,
bit
you wouldn't
happier,
know
I'd
what
say, about that side of it.
Probably, but I wouldn't be that happy if I came second or third, having to play second or third in the other group, maybe. Shouldn't be saying that live now, should I?
No, but sure, let's be honest about it. That's the fact of the matter, isn't it? There's, I'm glad you said it, because everyone thinks it anyway. They just don't bother their whole saying it publicly
it's true.
for some reason, because Q-hoorism and all that shit, and afraid lads will be getting onto you, and stop. I don't buy it. So intermediate football, Group 1, Clonavon versus Grange in the first round, and the Blues back down, of course. They'll take on Kilbride. And over in the other group, Fenna and Tullow and Michael will take on Rogue. Joe, I'll come to you on that one, being a Fenna man, of course.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm sure we played Tullow in the first round of junior, was it, a couple of years ago as well? So we would have played them last year. I think they'll be looking to have a right cut off Fenna this year. I think they were very disappointed with how they played last year in the McGrath Park. It was in that we kind of opened them up a little bit, and I'd imagine they'll be looking to stamp their authority on the game a bit earlier. They put up a good show later on the championship, and they're building out there. A good crop of minors there coming through from 2 years ago now. They were in the county minor football final. So they'll be looking to consolidate. They won't have much fear of Fenna, if you know what I mean. They'll fancy taking them on there. You'd probably be imagining Fenna will have enough, enough to hopefully maybe maybe top that group, or they'll definitely come out with it, you imagine. But I'd say Tullow will give them everything, especially in the first game. And you'd be wondering then with the Blues, on the in terms of the intermediate football, they've lost a couple of players. I suppose Lee Walker been a big one there, a big hitter for them, and they've lost I think 1 or 2 more maybe to transfers there as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they bounce back. Other years now when they had a full hand, they used to kind of go down and come back up again, or they'd be very strong and give it a right rattle. But it'll be interesting just to see what their kind of mindset is there as well, in that. So yeah, it's going to be a good championship. It was very, very even last year. Of course, they're Rogue as well. So they're never a bad team. You know what I mean? They play a good brand of football, and they've a perfect nice mix in terms of lads on the way down, maybe from senior, and lads coming up through, then younger lads getting a go as well. So there's a lot of teams in the mix in that championship.
Yeah, and I think Michael and Rogue is a repeat, obviously, of last year's final. So
it's
a nice one.
Michael as well. That's what I mean. It is even.
Nice fixture to start off with, though, as a first rounder. So Junior B Championship in Group 1, it'll be Rogue versus Clonavon Gael, the first round, and then St. Mullins and Ballinabrana. I fancy St. Mullins to win that championship, lads. Want to put out here again. It's an easy one to make, of course, but I think they will go for Junior A. In Group 2, Fenna are going to take on Michael, and then you have Rathvilly against Aska. Junior C, then, the granddaddy of them all, Dr. Bridge versus O'Hanlon in the first round in Group 1, and then Tinryland versus Rogue with Ballin having a bye. And then in Group 2, Clonmore versus Pal, and the Fighting Cocks versus St. Patrick's and Munster Rangers having a bye. So, yeah, that's the crack on the football side of things. So moving over to the hurling then, we'll actually start with the junior hurling. So that is going to be a league system with top 4 teams going to the semi-final. Rangers versus Neighbourhead in the first round, Michael versus Burn Rangers, Carrowtown versus Palatine, and St. Mullins will have a bye. The Intermediate Hurling Championship, the Pat Foley Cup, of course, that's also a league system with top 4 teams going to the semi-finals. First round, it's Navan versus Carrowtown. I think it's St. Mullins versus Munster Rangers and Bidestone Gales versus Ballingilly. Yeah, that's what we're looking at there. Senior Championship then for the Willie O'Connor Cup, you have a league system there again with top 4 teams going into semi-finals. I won't say again because that's actually, I think, when did it change back to that, Joe? 2 or 3 years ago, they had the 4 teams, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because before that, they had first going into a semi-final, then second and third. Second and third kind of playing a quarter or something, was it? Right, saying that? No, first went through to the final actually one stage, and second, third played a semi-final.
Yeah, well, we've had this. Suppose with LWB coming up this year, we've 6 teams now, so makes it competitive. It makes it very competitive again. So it's competitive, but having the extra team up makes for more games.
Is there a team to be relegated in the senior hurling this year? 5+6 or is that decided?
No, I think in hurling generally they're trying to, I suppose, bring up more ideally. I mean, like remember. 10, maybe it's more than that. You had you could have 8 teams in a senior championship, 2 groups of 4, a good number of years ago, or not that many years ago. I remember
Carlatown.
Yeah, I remember Carlatown drawing with us over in Kildavin one year, and they went through to a county semi-final in 2008. And there was 2 groups that year, as well. And Name Breed were flying, and 2007 was it? I can't remember. But anyway, so I suppose they're trying to encourage all teams up. It's harder to get down than it's easier. It's harder to get down than it is get up in hurling, you know what I mean? So, and I think Name Breed will be encouraged by last year coming up. They'll fancy their chances there now to give any of them a good rattle as well. It'll be interesting to see how they manage, manage the bodies again in terms of the clubs, in terms of the football. Obviously with Name Breed crisscrossing a couple of football clubs, it'll be interesting to see how it all works out, in terms of the logistics again. And I think the split season though, they're the real benefactors of that, where you'd be hoping that when they're hurling, you know what I mean, and that they get a run at it. I think that was kind of a problem before, where it was kind of week on, week off, and it was kind of a bit messier for them. So I'd imagine you'd be hoping that it suits them this way out the split season,
Yeah, I hope they're going to be competitive. I think it's a good time for them now. If they had got promoted going back 3 or 4 years ago when they won the intermediate, I would have said no, not a good time. But I think now is a pretty good time. So they're going to play St. Mullins in the first round. Munster Rangers will take on Biddenstown Gales, and Navan will take on Ballinkillen. Snack, in terms of the umpiring, have you been out much lately at all? I know you're with Pod.
No, I was with Pod maybe. What was it? We done Waterford and Port and Laois in Walsh Park about a month or 5 weeks ago, and I was just getting onto Pod again that he's not getting any of the big games anymore. You're on about getting teams up the ladder. Pod is going back down the ladder, unfortunately.
You're saying that with a lot of mischief on your face, Mike. But do you know what? I was actually, I'll give a shout out there. In fairness, Patrick Murphy was on Kieran Murphy's new podcast, Across the Four Lakes podcast there, and I listened to it last week, and it was absolutely brilliant. The refereeing aspect of it, and he mentioned Pod, and he felt that he was very close to getting last year's All-Ireland hurling final, and that he's actually quite close in general.
Absolutely,
I feel, Snack, I don't know that I said this to you last year on this podcast. Maybe I didn't, but it has been said at other stages that I don't know if the pundits would be as hard on him at times if he wasn't from Carlow. I do believe that. He does get a few times there. He got terrible stick, and I didn't think it was justifiable at all, to be honest with you. But sure,
it's just one. Yeah, maybe there's a point in that too.
It's kind of the default. I mean, there was. I've seen it there today. I don't know whether you read it about the Offaly goalie coming out and talking about kind of the refereeing, and then he decided to have a swipe at Maggie Farley, the lady who was doing the lines person, and I think it's a kind of a it's sometimes a default mentality in terms of sure, what would you know about what you're only from, or you're only X and Y, what would you know about it, I think sometimes there can be that mentality in terms of officiating and even with stuff like that there can be that kind of thing from pundits or players or whatever, that they can default to so what would you know about it sort of thing.
The terminology today, Joe, was trying to make a name for herself. I think Maggie Farley has already made a name for herself in a good way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I thought it was very poor.
So I thought it was a bit. Yeah, I thought it was a bit cheap.
I thought now that lad, you'd be hoping now this evening he's looking back at that whatever platform he put out on Twitter or wherever it was, and kind of saying, "Oh, jeez," maybe
Do you know what I'd hope actually, because I have a lot of respect for him, right? I think he's a great chairperson, Michael Dyden. I would hope that he would look at that and think, no, that's not right, and just take
This is not a reflection of this is
No.
not a reflection of Offaly,
No.
yeah,
I think
not a good reflection,
you'd be hoping that would be the case anyway. A couple of shout outs, lads, just changing subject. So Orla Mullins, daughter of Mark Mullins, that captained the Cork senior hurlers and formerly of Erin's Own in Bidnestown. Orla, captain of the Cork minor camogie team, in action over the weekend. That's a serious achievement. Also, Katie Nolan, Kilkenny senior camogie player, formerly of Naomh Bríd Camogie Club, all-star senior. So well done to both of them. That's serious going, serious trucking, in fairness. So we're there talking about getting judged because of where we're from and stuff, and yet there's people with strong Carlow roots doing extraordinary things like that.
Yeah. I remember Mark Mullins. I remember watching the game. Remember when he captained Cork. Jesus. I was out. Back on 90, 95, 96. Yeah, I remember I was down in Limerick. When I say watching the game, went down to it like we're in college at the time and finishing up college wherever we were, and just unbelievable. You'd be so filled with pride, even if that's what I mean. Such an honor for a lad to go down there but you could see that. I remember him. You mightn't remember, but you could see that by him when he was hurling like up here. He was just magic, like you know what I mean, magic. But like you said, black cat, black kitten, as I say, with the follow through there, it's fantastic, and it was brilliant. Just a couple other positive little things there, Kev, as well. The minor hurlers had a good win as well. Puts them back into shake up. You'd imagine it might come down to the last game in that group as well. I think they have, without dismissing Derry, I think they're hurling Derry next, but I think Derry, they probably should manage Derry, and then it might come down to head between themselves and Westmeath in the last group game to see who goes out. If Antrim don't slip up, it probably comes down to that last game. So the minor hurlers seem to be on a bit of a roll.
Yeah, 4-17 to 112 was a good win against Meath, in fairness.
Our under 20 hurlers are out at the weekend as well on Saturday, 2:00 in Netwatch Cullen Park against Westmeath. So that'll be an interesting one. You know what I mean? Be interesting to see how that goes. Westmeath will be decent enough at minor level. I know things sometimes don't come true, but at minor level, that corresponding team were pretty good. So it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game. I know the lads are working hard. 20 hurlers and that, so you're hoping there's a good support in there from.
Absolutely. Snack, any closing remarks before we let you go?
Not really. What else can I say?
Tell us where you got that top anyway.
I tell you, my mother bought it in she was away. I don't know where she was. She said to me, "It's time you lost a bit of weight now." She bought me an Asics top, and it's lovely and light, but I didn't lose any of the weight yet. So.
I thought it was something you wear to a rave or something, lad. But it looks at it. I was trying to
It's good when you're walking. It's good when I'm going for a walk soon, maybe, so you can see me walking up the road in the dark.
We'll see an electric picnic. That's where.
That's exactly it. Yeah, with a cowboy hat or something along with it.
100%. Snack, thanks for jumping on. All right, cheers, man.
No better, man. No better. Take
care. Likewise, thank you for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Kev.
Looking forward to renewing rivalries in a few weeks' time when championship comes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yep. Okay.
Thanks a million. Chat to you soon. That's where we leave it on the LWB GAA podcast for tonight. We thank our sponsor, Breach Nolan Physiotherapy, once again. Just a reminder, check out Breach Nolan Physiotherapy on Instagram and on Facebook. There's a competition on Instagram, which I'd say you're just about have time to enter. So we thank Breach for coming on board for tonight's episode. Another couple of things. We launched the Irish F1 show in the last couple of weeks, and that's been absolutely flying it. Check that out on Spotify and Apple there if you want something to listen to. I think everyone's nearly an F1 fan now, thanks to Drive to Survive. We just had to give a little plug there, as it is our sibling podcast. Thanks to you, the listeners, and the viewers over the past number of weeks during the league campaign. We're looking forward to jumping back in for the championship. As you said, if you do and have enjoyed what we're doing, we have a Buy Me a Coffee link. It should be in the post there. Not compulsory, but if you like what we're doing, you can support us for the price of a coffee. That's where we leave it. We'll have, as we said, a couple of weeks off. Looking forward to covering all the championship games. Joe McDonough Footballers against Loud. Lots to get through, lots to look forward to. But until then, take care.